Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm doing a movie review on Hokum, so let's begin with this review. Hokum was definitely a very interesting film for me. It's something that I literally did not know about. In fact, I didn't even know it existed until a classmate told me about it and how he really enjoyed it. The promotion material for this film seemed to be almost practically invisible, and that's a shame because it definitely deserves a lot more than that in my opinion. It's genuinely one of the first horror films in a while that I've watched that have scared, impressed, and shocked me all at the same time, which is definitely saying something. So it's very underrated when it comes to those kind of terms. Beginning with my positives as always, the cast and acting in this film are all on point, which is a big part, in my opinion, for one of the reasons that makes the film so good. Especially in a horror film, for me, the acting has to be at a decent standard, enough to at least make you feel scared or tension, or actually make you believe it's all happening and it's actually genuinely scary for you to, enjoy the film. So that's how it works for me. But yeah, if you feel that sort of feeling, then I think that the actor has done their job right, and Adam Scott in the lead role of this film gives a wonderful performance in my opinion. He's usually known for his more comedic roles, but he definitely proves that in this film he can act in more serious and darker roles, and yeah, he definitely proved that. I mean, he was really, really good in this film, and I would say he's a really underrated actor as well. Because yeah, he gave a fantastic performance. The horror in this film was executed extremely well, and that's also a huge factor in what makes this film so good for me. It incorporates psychological horror, emotional horror, and thrilling horror all into one. I think it does that pretty much perfectly. The jump scares in this film were very effective at points even where I found myself jumping a bit. One of the bits that stand out to me in this film for jump scares were two scenes. Well, there's two scenes in this film that stood out to me in particular. And that first is the opening scene in which Adam is just typing his novel in his dark apartment, alone, by himself. And that's just when all of a sudden you see his mother's ghost appear, like, in the dark, and then he turns the light on and she's not there anymore. But then when the camera cuts back to him, you see the ghost behind him, literally. And it's a very simple but effective jump scare in my opinion, and it's a clever jump scare. Sorry, that's all I can really say about it. Like, it's placed at the start as well to capture the viewer's attention and get them engrossed pretty much into the film at the very beginning, which I really like. Second comes from the kind of second middle part of the film, second act, and it's the most scary to me in my opinion. And that is that freakish donkey bunny thing. Like, you can see it in the poster, I quickly points out to you right there. That thing is weird, but in the way it does it does his job really well. And like that one particular sequence where Ohm is just in the honeymoon suite and he just falls asleep, and then it's one of those beds actually, where all the curtains can wrap around it, so you can't really see anything from the outside. You're just kind of like lying down, and then all you see is white curtains around you, so you don't actually really know who could be or what is on the other side of those curtains. But without warning, like, the camera suddenly flashes to the opening of the curtains open, and then randomly, without any warning, just this weird donkey bunny thing just comes out of nowhere and just stares right at home. And it's the film's scariest in my opinion. My friend absolutely screamed at that. I actually caught him off guard, and he's usually not one to scream at most jump scares in films. He expects them more, but that one actually caught him off guard. It was pretty funny. The horror in this film as well is really, really good. The fact that the main source of evil in this film is a supernatural witch, which does sound pretty basic to begin with, but no, actually it is quite unique to watch. And for one thing, I do like how they never actually really reveal the full witch's appearance. Kind of like Blair Witch 1, the original Blair Witch Project, and you just keep it in the dark pretty much. You're covered by shadows in multiple parts when you do actually sort of know what's on screen and know what's chasing after home. But yeah, along with that, not much is actually known about it or its background. It just makes it more mysterious, which I think is really, really cool. It's a good antagonist, and I like how not every question is answered about it, leaving you to think about some of the answers by yourself, even after you finish watching the film. Like, that's how it left me thinking after the film ended. I was still thinking about stuff about the witch and stuff that wasn't really answered pretty much. But I also like it's also a manifestation of, grief and guilt, sort of like the Babadook, in which it kind of serves as a visual for Ohm's emotions and what goes on inside his head. Moving on to the negatives, I think this film has a mixed ending. I like how the fact that Ohm changes not just as a person, but is ending in the novel, which we actually see at the beginning. So the film opens up with the two characters that he writes about in the novel pretty much showing us what is actually happening inside his novel, basically like a first point of view, which is pretty cool. But then after all that he kind of encounters and goes through throughout the main course of the film, and after he survives the main events of the film, he pretty much changes. He's a completely different person. He's much, I would say, wiser, nicer in a way, and he actually thinks about stuff more. He's let go of his trauma pretty much after his encounter with the witch and what's happened at the hotel. He's pretty much let go of all his trauma, and that's pretty important. I think that plays a key role in his character development. But Yeah, he changes his ending to the novel. Originally, one of the characters were meant to die in this novel, but now that he decides to change it and they both end up living, which is actually sort of an important thing. But the fact that we only see pretty much 2 minutes of in the hospital afterwards, it's not enough in my opinion. I feel like we should have seen a bit more. Alongside that, I also wish that they spent a bit more of the ending on the hotel and its aftermath for the burning. You can actually, I wish I actually gotten to see like the hotel in ruins and stuff. So it would have made them, or maybe created more of an impact in my opinion. But yeah, that could be an opportunity to clean up certain things. As well as that, the film can also be confusing to certain people that watch it. So for it to be simplified a little bit in terms of its horror, especially the emotional aspects or traumatic aspects, then they could have done a bit of fixing to that. But it's not a big deal in my opinion. And yeah, it's just a wee little minor issue that only personally I have an issue with, but it could be completely fine to someone else. Overall, it's really clear that I enjoyed Hokum, and I dare say that it's the best horror film of 2026 at the moment, at the time of recording. And a lot of things about it make it such a great horror film, and you already know the things. Like I've gone into it in this review, and for one, there are parts in this film where it actually feels genuine and scary, which I would say is from the start of the second act onwards. But yeah, this film gets so many things right, and it's genuinely a really, really good film overall. Not only as a horror film, but a good film to watch in general. My final rating for Hokum would be a 3.5 out of 5 stars and a 7 out of 10. Quite a good film. Anyways, that's been my review on Hokum. If you did enjoy, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you want to. But until next time, bye bye.